Join us on the last episode.
$29.57, $29.58, $29.59, 30 minutes.
Told you. Easy.
No way you just did that. On a bus of all places, man.
I told you it could be done.
Fair play, fair play. I'll never doubt you again.
That can't be the only reason I'm here.
It's not, mate. I've got a tasty tale for you tonight. Tonight, mate, I'm going to treat you to the tale of the black-eyed children. Now, I know you've come across these little shits before. So, yeah, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole on these, and you can get some pretty good eyewitness accounts on there. Like I say, I've tried to avoid a lot of the creepypasta stuff, but essentially what these are like pale kids, black eyes, no whites of the eyes, and they show up and they're like just creepy. They're like asking for shit, or they want to come inside, or reports of them wanting to use your phone. And the second
just clarifying, the eyeballs are black.
The eyeballs are black. Well, there's like kind of a difference in reports. So like some have like just black eyes where it's basically no whites. It's just like all pupil. Some have large black eyes, almost like the little alien kids. And some have like black eyes with like black around it and then pale skin. So all kinds of like reports, but you know something's off when you see them. And the golden rule seems to be whatever you do, don't give them what they want. So don't let them in. Don't give them your phone. Don't take them somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Just kind of stay away from them.
Off like a tramp.
Yeah, this is it. And it's 2026. You're going to get robbed. Do you know what I mean? If you get in a car with a bunch of...
That's it. They don't have to be black-eyed kids, to be fair, these days.
Definitely not. So as well as the pale skin and the black eyes that I mentioned, some reports have been like, you know, kind of weird. So like the clothing sometimes seems outdated. Some of them are wearing hoodies, something just slightly off about the clothes they're wearing. The way they're talking like a flat monotone. Reports have said like oddly mature speech, considering that they look like kids. So the request to do stuff, as I've said, like use a phone, come inside, money. They've even wanted money. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you sure these are just a bunch of chavs just trying to rob you? But who knows?
Asking for cigs.
Yeah, this is it. Black-eyed kid asking for a pack of cigs, then you know shit's up. But witnesses...
What if they're asking you to go into Offie and buy like cigs or beer for them?
Mate,
does that count?
You have to make up your own mind. You have to decide, are these interdimensional creeps? If I don't go in the Offie and get them a litre of cider, they're going to do some weird shit to me. You just don't know.
Interdimensional chavs.
Yeah. Interdimensional chavs love cider as well, mate. Don't deny him of that. But yeah, a lot of their witnesses report like basically a sense of unease when they're around them, like an overwhelming fear. Not just because you're staring at kids with black eyes, of course, but something otherworldly. The beings become more insistent or aggressive if refused. So if you don't give them your phone, or you don't lend them that money, or you don't go in the Offie and buy them that litre of cider, they can come back at you, mate. They can come back at you with threats, reports of telepathic pressure. So you don't want to mess with these kids, okay? And once exactly, right, good thinking within an inch of your life, pal.
Yeah, I'm think the shit out of you. Yeah, okay, well, fair enough.
But once
if that's their skill, then own it.
This is it. Not a bad skill to have. But once the witness leaves or refuses, the children pretty much vanish. So there's no reports of like full-on beatings if you don't get the kids what they want.
Oh, so they're all mouth as well?
Yeah, creepy, but all mouth. So we'll go into some theories of what these kind of are, but a lot of the reports have, gone into even as wide as extraterrestrials, vampires, demonic entities, ghosts, interdimensional beings, all sorts, mate. We just don't know what these kids are, but we're going to have a look into it and we're going to see. So as I said earlier, a lot of creepypasta stuff out there about this, so I've avoided all that, and we're just going to concentrate on just a couple of stories that have some kind of beef to them, maybe a few eyewitness accounts, that type of thing. So we're going to go back to its origin, okay? And this is back in 1996 with a dude called Brian Bethel. So Brian,
is he the sheriff? Is he the sheriff?
No. So Brian is a journalist working for the Abilene Reporter News in Abilene, Texas. So Bethel posted an account of what he experienced with these kids on his, in his reports, basically. So this was in 1996. This was, like I say, this was the first kind of like story of these. Well, the one that kind of like blew up. So Bethel, after a late shift at the newspaper, sat in his car in a strip mall theatre parking lot, and he was just fanning about, writing a check or something. And two pale boys, or teenagers, ages he gave roughly, they looked between 9 and 13, but it's a bit dubious. These two lads approached his car, and they asked for a ride to the mother's house to get money for movie tickets. Straight away, Brian knew something was up, because the movie had already started, and that was the last movie at the cinema. When he looked at them, then he knew shit was wrong. Because, first off, the speech seemed too adult. He couldn't quite see them. There was, like, in the hoodies, shadows over the faces, and again, this was at night. But, yeah, something about the voice. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the reports of the voice is, like, it's too mature for what's coming out of a kid. But then
is it the voice or how they spoke? I mean, it's not like they're deep voices, though.
No, a bit of all sorts. I mean, it just probably more how they spoke, but it says like very monotone as well. But yeah, probably didn't come out with like Barry White voices or anything. Still like childlike, I guess. But yeah, when he clocked their eyes, obviously overcome by fear, he like panicked, reverse, drove away, and as he looked back, he saw the children just walking off. So pretty weird. What stayed consistent within Bethel's story was basically the whole account, and that was something that kind of gives it a bit of weight because it never changed, and he's always kind of like gone back to it. He revisited it in 2012 on a TV show, so he's had like a little bit of stuff. Another column in his newspaper in 2013 sort of revisited, so it's always like a story that stuck with him. And like I say, the reports never really changed. So he always maintained how the kids came up to him, what they said. You know what I mean? It kind of gave it a little bit of weight. So Bethel's story spread online and became, like I say, pretty popular within stuff like creepypasta, online forums, stuff like that. Bethel even got involved in it because he was obviously asked like a lot of questions about it. And as I mentioned, in 2012, he went on a TV show, and that TV show was called Monsters and Mysteries in America. So basically just kind of like told his story, what happened. And the legend pretty much gained like wider mainstream attention in 2014. And this was an MSN Weekly Strange segment. And that basically helped spread it even further. And then, as we're going to be moving on in a bit, a British tabloid picked it up because it took stories from, a haunted pub, which we have covered, based in Staffordshire, and Cannock Chase, which everyone will know is England's Skinwalker Ranch. There was even, and I kind of want to see it because I know it's going to be shit, is a low-budget horror film called The Black-Eyed Kids that was released in 2012.
Well, what's that about?
Who knows, mate? But yeah, I bet it's awful, and I bet it's got some really bad like child actors in it, thinking that this is the next big break. But
be careful what you wish for. Might be good.
Exactly. Might be. Let's check it out. We'll do a feature.
Well, I watched Dolph Lundgren have a fist fight with a bull shark the other day.
Ah, yeah. How was that?
And he won. Well, he won. Spoiler alert. Anyway, I digress. I can't remember why I even bothered interrupting you with that. Oh, films. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, alongside this, there was a few kind of reports later. Bethel also relayed in a second-hand recount, and this is unrelated to that first one. But again, he saw similar black-eyed youths. Specifics are a lot thinner than what I could get from the previous story. But again, you never know. You never know what to believe. If someone gets famous with a story, they might just start chanting and telling things. But yeah, it was his.
It becomes their entire identity.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so his main account really sort of kicked it off. So going to move on from Brian and go to Cannock Chase, which we have covered this in episode 1 of The Last Bus Home. Cannock Chase, for anyone that knows, it's a scary place. And yeah, as we covered in the first episode, there's lots of stuff, ghost, soldiers, beasts, aliens, all kinds of stuff. It's great. But obviously right now, I just want to focus on the black-eyed kids. So it's a legend that is quite widely known within the Cannock Chase sort of paranormal realm. But this one, as opposed to a bunch of kids, and there have been reports of kids, but this main kind of story is about a young girl. Again, completely black eyes, but she's said to haunt the woodlands of Cannock Chase. So Cannock Chase as a place, it's banging. It's like a massive area, place of natural beauty, so it's protected by the
National Trust.
National Trust, that's the bad boys. But yeah, loads of stuff on there. It's got like a German military cemetery, an Iron Age hill fort, loads of stuff. And
classic.
Again, check out our first episode because we cover Pigman, UFOs, werecats, all sorts. It's cracking. So sightings of the black-eyed girl are commonly said to date from the early 1980s. So earlier than Brian's story, but it was Brian's story that, again, was the first one that really kind of brought it to the mainstream. But as far as like actual occurrences, Cannock Chase is where it's at. One frequently repeated detail is that paranormal investigator Lee Brickley's aunt was among the first to report a similarly described black-eyed girl in 1982. So let's go into it. So between 1965 and 1967, 3 young girls were abducted and murdered. So the bodies were found near Cannock Chase. So a guy called Raymond Leslie Morris was convicted in 1969, the murder of a girl that he abducted. And then it was widely regarded as the prime suspect for the other 2 girls. So the reason why I've kind of given you that kind of like grim little tale is that a lot of these stories of the black-eyed girl kind of links back to that. So some folklorists and local historians suggest the black-eyed children stories grew out of the trauma of these murders and the subsequent atmosphere of fear in the area. So obviously it'd be horrible if, 3 girls die and it's just all in this like fairly small area. It's going to give like a bit of a ominous kind of like tone. Do you know what I mean? So that's why a lot of people kind of said it brought a darkness to the area. And these are kind of like the after effects of what happened. Alternative explanations offered over the years include a victim of 19th century diphtheria outbreaks, which basically caused sunken, darkened eyes. So it could be like the ghost of these. Again, people have sort of gone to a demonic entity, an alien. So a lot of the folklore in the area kind of links back to it.
Well, I think I'm more inclined to go with that on this Cannock Chase girl, because generally black-eyed kids, the phenomenon itself, don't have stories. They're not really classed as ghosts as opposed to entities, whereas this Cannock Chase girl sounds like a ghost who happens to have black eyes.
Yeah.
Because there's a story. There's no story with other black-eyed kids. They're just these entities that appear.
Yeah, true.
Do you know what I mean?
And thinking about it, like, how we always talk about the robbery of like Asian horror in the American the Western, mainstream movies.
I think the Impressionable Youth, when The Ring came out, it seemed, suddenly all ghost videos looked like the girl from The Ring. It was a white dress and long black hair covering the face. Still pervades fakes now. In fact, it's kind of my benchmark for a fake ghost video.
Yeah, man. And it's just the overdone jump scare of the little kid coming up to the camera and he has black eyes, or it turns around, that type of thing.
But yeah, the Cannock Chase girl may be a black-eyed kid. I'm not saying she ain't. But when they've got a backstory, they're more of a ghost to me. I don't think black-eyed kids are ghosts.
Yeah,
they're probably more, like shadow people. They may be an entity in their own right.
Yeah, fair play.
Like Jinn,
Yeah, I was thinking that, more like mischievous, kind of like sneaky little Jinn. Again, not really too dangerous, but kind of annoyance. You don't want them hanging around. The legend remained largely local until September 2014, when the British tabloid Daily Star ran a series of sensational front-page stories about a plague of black-eyed ghost children. That was all linked to a pub in Staffordshire, which we do cover in that episode. So, paranormal investigator and author Lee Brickley, who's written multiple books on Cannock Chase and the phenomena there. One of his books is called The Black-Eyed Child of Cannock Chase. It claims in April 2018, while in Birches Valley, a girl appeared 100 metres in front of him, stared at him for roughly 30 seconds and then vanished without a trace. Brickley has become the primary public chronicler of the legend. Like I say, he's pretty much the OG straight up guy to go if you want to know about black-eyed children.
It might be worth an email there, Lee.
Might be, mate. Might get in touch with the boy. In summer of 2021, so much more recent, two 17-year-olds were camping illegally in Birches Valley, so wild camping essentially.
During COVID.
Around midnight, they heard movement and then a child's giggling. When they shone the torches, they saw a small girl running from tree to tree and peeking out, eventually standing in a clearing at them, staring at them with her head slightly sort of dipped. The giggling seemed to come from all around them. She bent as if adjusting her shoes, then ran into the dense trees. The couple stayed in the tent until dawn, obviously bricking it. But in the morning, they found evenly spaced piles of stones around the tent and stick formations, so very Blair Witch there.
Blair Witch?
Pretty much. Resembling kind of like dream catchers hanging from the trees, so very Blair Witch. On the walk back...
Worse.
Yeah. On the walk back to the car, they saw the black-eyed child again, peering from behind an oak tree. They fled. They shouted at it just to try and, I guess, get away from the situation, but their account was given to Lee Brickley and featured in one of his books. So some other reports around Cannock Chase, it's not just linked to these guys, but there's loads of like little random reports from like dog walkers. Obviously, this place gets loads of ramblers, and they've all described things that are kind of linked with these. So they come into an area, they feel overwhelmed with fear. The dogs start barking if they've got dogs with them, or reacting strangely. And then they start seeing like almost just like glimpses of like small things running behind trees. 2014 to 2015 period saw a spike in the claims around Cannock Chase. A lot of things being reported to like the park rangers, things like that, all linking to kind of like small, strange figures in the woods or over the hills. And again, just this feeling of like fear when, before something kind of kicks off, as if your sixth senses kicking in, really. Drone footage released around 2023 claimed to show a couple of mysterious figures. It was like a group of 3 or 4, what looked like children, but all in dark clothing, stood at the side of the kind of like the tree line, but they couldn't quite see into it, so they were kind of like hid in the shadows, but they could see the kids were like aware of the drone. Occasional reports of multiple black-eyed children have appeared all around the area, so it's not just like 1 or 2 main stories. These are like things that seem to be kind of like definitely linked with Cannock Chase, so whatever's going on there. And again, if you ask me, totally makes sense that it's probably linked back to, again, we're going with like sort of the stone tape theory. I think maybe Cannock Chase is just a huge collection after all the war shit that happened there. It's just a dark place, and throw in a couple of murdered girls, create some evil entities. Who knows? So yes, that was Cannock Chase. And what we'll do now is move on to some other stories of, how people interact with these kids. But we have some sort of home invasion style stories. One here was it's a tale involving an elderly couple, and this was in a snowy rural area in Vermont. Two children, a boy and a girl, knock late at night asking to come in because their parents are coming soon. They told the old couple that they were cold, they needed a place to come in. Again, no real reports about how the voice sounded, but I'm guessing if it's Black Eyed Kids, it's going to be in a very monotone, quite mature, creepy-ass voice where you definitely won't let them in your house. What are you doing? But guess what they did? So the couple lets them in, and then the family's pets start fucking going crazy. The cat starts doing that weird cat noise that they do, you know, the thing. The pets basically just showed like extreme fear, even aggression. The children asked to use the bathroom. So when they went up, door closed, they went to the bathroom together. The couple knew something was up. And again, that's where the story then kind of goes off. They were murdered, you know, a few more interactions with the kids. But basically, this old couple got muffed up. And that's what you get for letting two black-eyed kids into your house. Just don't do it. Exactly. We have quite a few hitchhiking encounters. So drivers report the children approaching them at like gas stations, which is petrol stations if you're in the UK, rest stops, even like roadside attractions, basically anything where you kind of pull over. And I'm essentially thinking it's not like in a busy city street. It's more like maybe on the outskirts, something like that. But once these people notice the eyes, they either flee away, quickly getting away from whatever it is. What we'll do is we'll get into some theories of what they are, because I mean, there's a lot of kind of things going around about this, but we've even got stories of vampires. So I think this links to more for like the kind of consent issue. Do you know, like a vampire has to be invited in?
It sounds, like films, the Swedish one, let the right one in, or don't let me in, or let me in, or something. I think it's let the right one in.
Exactly.
That's about kid. But then again, vampire law itself is they can't enter unless they're invited anyway.
Yeah. But really, this kind of came from like Brian Bethel's sort of original encounter, where they kept asking for things and, you know, they wanted to get in his car and have a ride, and luckily he sped off. But the children often insist they cannot enter a car or a house unless invited. We can't come in unless you let us in. This is some statements that they've said. But this basically, like we said, it just mirrors like classic European vampire law, where the undead pretty much need your permission to get in your gaff, and so it should be.
I'm right, it's respect.
Again, vampire myth kind of gains weight because, you know, pale skin, black eyes, intense dread, all that sort of stuff that, again, you could definitely link with some versions of vampire. And if you do let them in, it's kind of like going back to that old folklore kind of thing. There's been reports that, you know, these kids haven't exactly killed someone or done something really bad, but the entrance to like a property or something has led to like illness or later death. So it's almost like maybe a bit of a curse has been put on there, some kind of hitchhiker effect maybe. So yeah, vampires could be up there. Another popular theory would be ghosts, or as we've kind of said, like residual spirits, linking into the stone tape sort of theory. So especially strong, this kind of theory, I would say, in the Cannock Chase story, where the entity is like you said, it's a young girl, something bad happened, could be linked to the murder, that type of thing. So this residual haunting is tied to this trauma within this location. And again, I'm not going to get into it in this episode. I'm sure our listeners are bored of it by now, but we did come across that Cannock Chase is on top of some ley lines. There is a big iron ore deposit below. So again, could just be paranormal geology. So this intelligent spirit could mimic the ghost as if to like, you know how a cat acts all cute and meows just so you go over, but essentially it's a goddamn tiger. But these ghosts could be linked to, you know, that type of thing, appearing as a distressed child. So old Ma and Pa open the door to him. One of my main favourite theories is definitely the old extraterrestrials, alien hybrid, just non-human intelligence. Yep. So this goes from taking the black-eyed kids and you throw it, roll it up into a ball, and you throw it in the ufology circles. Let those guys deal with it. And then we get all kinds of things. So alien hybrids. So these could be kids that have maybe escaped from a secret government kind of like experiment, mixing the greys with some kids. Don't go down well for you. It just ends up with a bunch of little chavs who want to get access to your house. Extraterrestrial scouts or drones, and that could explain some of the odd behavior. Again, kind of linking in almost a bit Men in Black style, but that's a separate bit on its own. So, yeah, these beings, again, like I said about the ghosts maybe appearing in a certain way, these beings need an invitation or consent before they can interact. Maybe it's like some sort of dimensional space rule. Who knows? So, yeah, as I mentioned, Men in Black. So the children are somehow connected to the same intelligence as these guys. Maybe they're trying to get something. The Men in Black could be the handlers. Hey, I'm reaching here. I'm just, I'm going through some theories. But yeah, whatever kind of tickles your pickle on that one. And really, just to kind of like see us out, I just thought I'd just try and get down to the deep core of what these kind of things are. I think I'm ultimately going with interdimensional entities. So kind of goes back to Shadow People in the Fear Buffet, another episode if you want to check that out. But maybe these things feed on fear because they're not exactly coming over all shy and coy. Do you know what I mean? So it's like they feed on that fear, maybe get a bit powerful, and then they need your permission to fully enter like our reality. So some kind of like messed up demonic interdimensional beast. Tulpas, or thought forms, which are creatures brought into existence by collective belief. So again, harking back to our paranormal experiments episode, where you get people on the skull experiment, bunch of people sat around all believing in something, you might be able to form something like this. So this could be people walking out in the woods, in Cannock Chase, scared to shit, and this is how these things sort of manifest. Psychological folkloric explanation. So the encounters are real experiences of fear or misperceptions that have been shaped into like, it's brought a lot by the internet storytelling. So the black eyes, don't let them in, that type of thing. It's all kind of like, you hear about something, let's blame creepypasta on that one. So for me, mate, to conclude, I think black-eyed kids, it's solved. They're interdimensional grifters, and they're no bloody good. What's your thoughts?
I don't think they're ghosts, so I'm ruling out, for me, the Cannock Chase girl, because she's got various backstories, and she's not asking for anything. She just appears to freak people out. So, yeah, she sounds like more of a ghost than a black-eyed kid. Now, I think the black-eyed kids, like Shadow People, are an entity in their own right, or there doesn't seem to be a reason for them to want to get into the houses. And, I mean, do they just kill them? Do they grab knives? Or do they just boo really loud and scare people to death? However, the vampire thing, where they have to ask, well, they have to be invited in. Same goes for demons with possession, where demons have to be invited into the home, either through weakness or Ouija board or stuff like that. Starts out as a poltergeist. But people get wise to it. And maybe it's like fairies in Peter Pan. If you don't believe, they stop being strong. So maybe the black-eyed kid approach is a new tactic for demons to get into your home to then infest your home. So I'm thinking the black-eyed kid, because it's new, relatively new, and not that frequent, it's not all over the place. I think they're testing out new methods, and if they work, we may see more of them. But I think it's other entities gaining entry into people's lives, psyche, homes, and what have you, but they're just using a new angle.
Fair play.
But they haven't quite perfected it, so the weird voices and the black eyes, that might improve over time as the Shadow Realm take on AI. Who knows?
Fair enough.
But yeah, I think they're more of a tactic or a way in, a scout, a vanguard.
Interesting. Yeah, similar to Shadow People, I guess. Hey, they might just be the children of Shadow People. The bastard offspring of 1,000 Shadow People.
Well, there could be an early stage of Shadow People. We don't know.
Starts with the
Maybe it
eyes.
starts in the eyes, yeah, and spreads. It goes to the hairline.
Well, I'll take that one. Sounds good to me. But either way, whatever they are, I don't want to see one in my house. So I'm not letting the little bastard in. I'll tell you that much. Either way, mate, that is the Black-Eyed Children, and this appears to be my stop. So I hope there's no black-eyed kids waiting for me at the bus stop when I get off. I will catch you on the next one. Ding, ding.
Ding, ding.